What's going on, guys? So today I'm going to tell you guys how I took my clients Mike, Robby, Oliver, and John from looking like average gym guys into looking like bodybuilders in 8 months using the True Bodybuilder Method. This is probably going to be one of the most valuable videos I've ever fucking made in my life. It's going to be a step-by-step guide on how I took these guys from looking average into looking like bodybuilders in 8 months. You guys can take notes. This is going to be a long fucking video. So sit down, enjoy the ride, and let's get after it. All right, guys, let's get right into it. So this is for lifestyle bodybuilders doing steroids. So just guys that go to your gym, average guys that just use gear and want to just look better and improve their physique. You don't necessarily have to compete to use steroids. That's a big misconception. This is for lifestyle bodybuilders, guys that are doing bodybuilding to improve their life. This is how to go from having a mediocre physique, mediocre results, to achieving a high level physique in 8 months using the True Bodybuilder Method, without wasting your steroids just to make no progress or losing your gains when you come off cycle, which is extremely fucking frustrating. And my name is Evan Quinn, and I'm going to show you guys exactly how I took my clients Robby, Mike, Oliver, and John, and many more, and stacked on new levels of muscle mass and conditioning in 8 months or less, and achieved a very high level physique that they literally never had in their fucking life. So I'll show you guys some of the results from the True Bodybuilder Method. This is Oliver over here. He went from skinny to muscular. This is Mike over here. He's 60 years old. He went from overly fat to lean and jacked. And this is John's transformation right here. He went from skinny and stocky with like a high body fat to looking juiced. And these are night and day transformations, like insane transformations. They don't even look like the same fucking person. So basically the before pictures are before they started working me. And they either had skinnier little muscle or they're overly fat and just lacked that kind of overall bodybuilder look that we're all looking for, despite already using steroids and doing all this training, all this dieting, all this stuff. And the after pictures are when they completed their programs and they packed on literally more muscle than they'd ever had before and achieved a new level of conditioning that they never had before. So let's get into who this method is for. So this method is not for everybody. So keep in mind, if this is you, then you're on the right track. You're watching this video. You're going to definitely learn from this. And this is going to literally work for you and you can implement this. So if you are seeking a high level physique, if you're looking to finally achieve the physique that you've been working so hard for and maintain it for life, then this is for you. If you're frustrated with your cycles and you're sick and fucking tired of doing cycle after cycle, steroid after steroid cycle looking exactly the same despite the results you literally expected steroids to give you, then this is for you. If you're having underwhelming results, if you feel like you're sick and tired and you tried fucking everything and your physique still does not reflect the steroids and the grams of fucking gear you're taking, then this is for you. If you are truly trying to reach your true potential, you want to see your true physical potential stand out from the average man, gain a competitive edge in your business, your work, and earn respect from your peers, this is for you. If you want to protect your investment, bodybuilding and fitness, it's an investment. We're investing our time, we're investing our money, we're investing our health, and we're investing a lot more than we actually think. Especially if you're using steroids, you're investing a lot of your health here. So if you're tired of investing your time, effort, and health into your steroid cycles and just losing your progress when you come off, like you're doing all this shit, you just lose it all when you come off, this is for you. And if you truly believe in yourself and you truly believe that you can achieve a physique that may seem unachievable, this is for you. So, like I said before, this method is not for everybody. So if this describes any of you right here, just click off the video, go do something else, because this is not going to work for you. So if you have the wrong motivations, so if you just want to take a bunch of fucking steroids, impress other people, impress girls, and you do not have a deeper meaning for achieving this physique besides just looking good, this is not for you. If you're not ready to work hard, if you're not ready to train your fucking ass off, if you're not ready to incorporate a regimented nutrition plan into your life, this is not for you. We're talking high level physiques here. We're talking a lot of muscle. We're talking, an extreme level of conditioning. That's not going to happen from just plugging in whatever food you want in MyFitnessPal. And it's not going to happen from, just half-assing your training. So if you think that's going to get you there, click off this video. This is not for you. If you're unwilling to change your ways and you're unwilling to let go of your ego and adopt a proven fucking method to achieve a high-level physique, and instead you just want to keep doing what you're doing, click off the video. This isn't for you. And then if you have a lack of self-belief and you simply just do not believe you can achieve a physique and achieve the physical best version of yourself, this is not for you. So here's the truth about achieving a high-level physique, right? So the mainstream fitness advice about training, nutrition, about steroids, it does not work, and it will literally set you up to fail. So the reason why I coined this as the True Bodybuilder Method is just because it sounds. It's the truth. And a lot of bodybuilders and social media influencers will literally withhold secrets from the general public because they're inflated egos, corporate interests, or they just don't want you to get better or like get bigger or look better than them. It's insane. And there's so much bullshit, conflicting information out there, and this is why I literally crafted this system. And like, here's the thing: you can absolutely achieve a high level physique you see from the bodybuilders and influencers you see, and become the physical best version of yourself, despite what these people are fucking telling you. And this is why most men fail to achieve their dream physique. They have poor nutrition. So, like, most men just don't fundamentally understand how to design a proper nutrition plan for muscle growth or fat loss. They just have no fucking idea what they're doing. They have ineffective training. So they're training without proper intensity and without proper progression, and it leads to minimal results despite spending years in the gym. And proper steroid use. Most guys just don't understand how to use steroids properly, or they're not structuring a realistic steroid cycle with correct dosing and correct compounds. And the result is they just get disappointed. Like, it's just wasted time. It's wasted money you're spending on all your gear. It's wasted energy. It's wasted health from all the shit that's going in your body that's potentially screwing up your health markers. And you have little to nothing to show for it. But if you're watching this video, you're already on the right track and literally stopping yourself from making these simple and avoidable mistakes that most guys will spend years making. So here's the limiting belief that you guys need to overcome, right? So there is no such thing as just because I can't achieve this physique, I will never have it, or my genetics just won't get me there. Guys, I have shitty genetics, probably like the worst fucking bodybuilding genetics. Like, they're not good. They're really not good. But I was able to achieve the physique I have today. And so is Mike, so is Oliver, so is John and Robby. They didn't have top tier genetics, but they got to the point where they're at right now. So the truth is, it's like, I'm gonna give you the implementation to push your body beyond what you believe is capable of, so you can become the physical best version of yourself. And if you want that person to be you, this is the breakdown we're going to go over. So I'm going to tell you how to navigate around these issues that we just mentioned above. I'm going to tell you, like, literally how my clients, Robby, Mike, Oliver, and John, completely changed their physique so drastically that they were getting compliments from friends, family, coworkers, and how to achieve this in just about 8 months. And we're going to do this without losing your gains when you come off cycle, and without wasting another fucking steroid cycle just to make no progress and getting rid of fucking side effects for nothing. So let's talk about how I got here, right? So this is my personal journey. So for those of you guys that don't know, my name is Evan Quinn. Basically, I am a online fitness and nutrition coach, and basically lifestyle physique coach. So basically, I got in the gym when I was about 17 years old, and I started training enhanced when I was about 21 years old. So for the purpose of this video and to really just make it relatable to what I'm telling you guys about this system, I'm going to tell you about my journey doing enhanced bodybuilding when I was 21. So I started doing serious bodybuilding using the steroids, performance enhancing drugs in 2019 when I was 21 years old. And that's when I took my first cycle. So I was already dialed in with my training and nutrition. I was strong, had a really good natural foundation. I knew how to diet, but I just didn't have anybody to turn to when I did my first cycle, besides my own research on Google or YouTube or whatever. And I basically just followed the mainstream advice of whatever fitness influencer was popular at the time, Greg Doucette, more plates, more dates, those kind of guys, right? And many of those guys were just lying or withholding the truth and were passing off a lot of misinformation that you could just get big on taking these low doses of steroids, right? You only need 250 milligrams of testosterone for your first cycle. And here's what happened. So I did that first cycle, 250 milligrams. I got extremely underwhelming results. Don't get me wrong, I got some results, right? But they were lackluster and they did not match my bodybuilding goals. So what I did is I started taking matters in my own hands. I stopped listening to this mainstream bullshit fucking advice and instead started doing I started talking to real people, not just online on forums or, on YouTube or whatever, real people in real gym, like real bodybuilders with actual results about what they took, right? And then I basically just used that information. And I was like, oh, well, you know what? I probably wasn't taking enough because these guys were taking fucking 10 times that. So I'm like, huh, like, okay, well, pieces are starting to come together here. So I started experimenting on myself, right? So I said, fuck this, fuck all this bullshit information. I tripled my dose of testosterone. I went from 250 to 750. I had in other compounds like equipoise, D-ball, and that was my first real cycle, right? And then all of a sudden, the pieces started coming together, and I started really looking like a bodybuilder. And then after years of doing this, I formulated this method that truly works. And what every bodybuilder is doing, they just don't fucking talk about it openly. And here I am today, sitting at 5'6", 195 pounds, 10% body fat, looking like a bodybuilder. You guys can see. Shoulders are popping, veins are popping. I'm jacked, I'm lean. I know what I'm talking about here. So here's the truth about bodybuilding advice, right? Way too many bodybuilders will just straight up lie about what they take and what they do to achieve the physique they have because they have inflated egos and they want to come off as like having like the best genetics. Like I feel like bodybuilding, especially on Instagram, it's a fucking dick measuring contest for genetics. Or they just have corporate interests and they're trying to sell you something. So when I started formulating this own method for myself and like, you know, trying these cycles and seeing what actually worked for me and I started getting real results, people started coming up to me and they were asking me what I was doing for my training, what my diet was, and what I was taking for my steroid protocols. I'd have people coming up to me asking me what my cycle was like all the fucking time when I started really blowing up in size. And I knew I had an obligation to be honest with everybody that asked because like I understand how frustrating it is to be lied about on this topic of steroids because it's so fucking taboo. Nobody talks about what they're actually doing. So it's like a breath of fresh air when somebody's like, oh, like this guy's actually fucking open and honest. And the thing is, like, I don't care about, you know, coming off as having the best genetics. I don't have a fucking ego. I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks about me. So I don't give a fuck about any of that. I'll tell you exactly how much I take. I'll tell you, you know, what I do to get to where I am right now. I'll tell you exactly what's required, and I won't hold any fucking information back because you guys deserve that information and you deserve to get results here. So basically, when people started coming up to me, I basically started just giving them this advice and I started really helping people and I started taking on some clients. And basically, when I started applying the system to the guys I was helping, the results happened fast and hard because they just went from following this mainstream advice like I did, making little to no progress and doing things properly. And they're looking the best they ever have. Like we're talking full blown fucking transformations, like you guys saw earlier. So I knew if I could just give like an honest, effective approach to achieve a high level muscular physique that you know everybody dreams of, it would literally change their life. And all the clients I mentioned, you know, Robby, Mike, Oliver, and John. So I met those guys that I actually met through Instagram, which I'll explain in a little bit as well. So I met these guys through Instagram, and basically I would have conversations with them before they started working with me, and they all faced very similar common problems. So their starting point, so they all had like an okay physique. They had a decent amount of muscle mass, you know, decent gym and dieting experience. You know, an average person could come up to them and be like, okay, that's you know that guy goes to the gym, right? Um, but their physiques just didn't reflect the amount of gear taken. They're all taking gear before, you know, a good amount of gear. Their physiques just did not reflect it, and for whatever reason, they just couldn't figure out why, despite all the effort and you know time they were putting in. And this is typically what I saw they were doing wrong across the board. They were not running enough gear for their goals, or they're running the wrong compounds or wrong dosing of compounds. They were running their cycles for too short of a length of time, so 6 to 8 weeks, and doing a PCT after and trying to recover their natural levels just to hop back on in 2 months. It just makes no fucking sense. Um, they were not eating the proper diet that's conducive for massive growth or massive fat loss, and they were not training in a way that just produces slabs of muscle and high levels of strength. So basically, they all experienced like the same frustrating fucking results. Like their cycles were basically like roller coasters. So they blew up on cycle. They lost all their gains when they came off. They had no linear progress cycle to cycle because of that, right? So let's say they start their cycle, they blow up, right? They gain some size, they look really good. Then instead of just having linear progress and going back on cycle and going back up again, they have a big spike and then they come off and then they crash. and they just make no linear progress. So they all had poor body composition. So they either got too skinny or flat when they cut, or too fat when they bulked. And they all got, unwanted side effects. They had maybe low sex drive, low energy, acne, gyno, or a combination of all four of these. And regardless of all the steroid cycles they did, the net result was just mediocre, if any, muscle gain, and they just ended up looking exactly the same at the end of the year. So this is all what they really wanted here. This is what they truly were looking for, after taking their steroid cycles. This is what they expected. They wanted significant muscle mass, like a lot of muscle mass, more than the average guy. And they wanted a standout physique. They wanted to go in public in a crowd and have people look at them and be like, damn, like that's a fucking solid physique right there. They wanted lean conditioning. So they wanted to be lean with abs, veins, striations, all that stuff. And they wanted to be like stronger than the average guy in the gym. They wanted a superior level of strength here. And these were just the recurring themes I saw from everybody that wanted my help. So this is essentially how the True Bodybuilder Method was born. So I crafted a program for all these clients, and this is when their physiques really, really started to change here. Like once we had all pillars firing, like on all fronts, training, nutrition, steroids, once they were all optimized, the results happened fast and they happened fucking hard. We're talking like physical changes in weeks, bigger, fuller, leaner, stronger, and the results just literally kept snowballing the longer we worked together. And all these guys still use the True Bodybuilder Method to this day. So basically, I discovered this method just after years of figuring out what worked for my own body with training, nutrition, with steroids, and then applying those same principles to the guys I worked with. And this method literally puts an end to the frustrating struggle of just taking cycle after cycle, lacking the muscle mass you believe you deserve. It puts an end to just being constantly lied to in your face about what steroids to take or how to take steroids. Instead, it gives you a truthful, honest approach of how to get to where you want to be. And keep in mind, this is nothing new. This is not a new method. This is literally what every bodybuilder or recreational gym goer that has a good physique uses. They just don't talk about it ever. So let's talk about the basically like the overview of this method, right? So this is essentially how it's going to be a step-by-step approach on how we can actually implement this. So we have the tip of the iceberg here. So we want a high-level physique. A physique so good people literally come up to you asking you what your steroid cycle is. So to get here, we need three essential phases. So we need the lean out phase, we need the cruise phase, and we need the push-up phase, which I'm going to get into in a little bit. And then there's three components of each of these phases, which is training, nutrition, and steroids. So basically, I'm going to give you all the tools to finally achieve a lean, jacked, fantastic physique using steroids that nobody else will talk about. Like, nothing is going to be held back here. I'm going to walk you through exactly how to go from just having like an okay physique, run-of-the-mill physique, to a physique so above average that people will come up to you, ask you what your fucking cycle is, just like it happened to me. And how to do this in 8 months or less. So like I said, there's three phases of the True Bodybuilder Method here. There's the lean out phase, which is phase one. So I would say that 3 to 4 months, it could even be less than this, but it's going to be a 3 to 4 month cutting phase where we essentially gradually reduce the food to get the body into a lean enough state to start our push-up phase. Okay. So then there's a cruise phase right in the middle. So this is about a 4 to 6 week phase where we just maintain the lean body composition, lower the gear a little bit, and just make sure health is in check before we do our big push and we really push the envelope. So these two phases essentially prime you for this phase right here, which is the fun part. So this is the push-up phase right here, and this is where things get really explosive. So this is going to be a lean growing or bulk phase where we basically increase the food, increase the gear, and focus on building massive levels of strength in the gym. And this is where the results fucking explode. So we have to be patient enough to get through these two phases right here so we can do this explosive push-up phase and really just, prime our body to fucking grow. And basically later I'm going to go into how nutrition, gear, training will all be altered through each of these phases in the True Bodybuilder Method. So the problem with the current methods that you guys are probably doing is that they're just completely unsustainable and they're ineffective. So here's how I optimize each part of the True Bodybuilder Method to create real lasting results that transform your physique completely. And just like they don't fucking like, they're not unsustainable, they're not ineffective, and like it's completely contrary to what people were doing before. So component number one, this is going to be training. So this is me rowing 405 on a barbell row. So you guys know, I know what I'm talking about when I talk about training. So the most common problem I see with guys for training is that you basically see it like, you see it all the time, right? So you go in the gym, and you see guys that have been there for the past 2 to 3 years, and you see them month after month, year after year, looking exactly the same, doing the same workouts, the same exercises, and the same weights, and they never improve. They literally never improved. And this could even be you if you're watching this. And this is certainly Robby, Mike, Oliver, and John before they started working with me. They never improved. They just kept doing the same thing. So this is what most guys are doing wrong in the gym right now. So they're dependent on machines, and they're shying away from the basic barbell compound exercises. And they're just kind of going on machines and just focusing on the squeeze or contraction or whatever. And they're staying away from the basics. There's no strength progression. So they're not making an effort to progressively get stronger, and they'd never build a strength base. So they have low intensity training. So they're training with basically no intensity and just kind of going through the motions. And they're kind of just doing like pump based training. So their quantifiable measure of a good workout is whether they get a good pump or not. And if they're just, working the muscle, and that's their only measure of having a good workout. And the result of doing all this stuff right here is just little to no dense muscle tissue gained over time. You just kind of blow up and just, you get a good pump in the gym and that goes away, and they don't really gain any long-term muscle tissue. Take a sip of water here. There you go. Tend to talk fast when I get really excited. Okay, so this is the truth about effective training. So what we have to understand is without creating the proper stimulus in the gym, your steroids are going to do fuck all. They're not going to do anything. So you have to create the stimulus. Otherwise, nothing works. The steroids don't work. The food doesn't work. Everything has to be firing 100% on all pillars. Okay. So if your training has to be properly mapped out, progressive, and intense. This is key here. So the overarching goal in the True Bodybuilder Method for training is literally to increase the skill of weightlifting, just like a professional soccer player, increases their skill. So they, dribbling, shooting the ball into the net, whatever. I'm not a soccer player. I don't know what the fuck they do. It probably sounds about right. So bodybuilder has to increase their skill of the movements they do in the gym. And this is done by increasing the weight, the reps, the sets, the execution of the movements, the execution of the exercises you do, all that kind of stuff. It's just what you do in the gym now should be impossible in 3 months or vice versa. So what you do in the gym 3 months from now should be impossible today. So all this is done obviously with maximum intensity, which I'm going to get into as well. So with the True Bodybuilder Training Method approach, so what we do first is we essentially have a mindset shift. So with Robby, Mike, Oliver, John, all those guys, so I shifted their mindset into what's the least I can do in the gym and get away with it versus what's the most I can recover from. And that mindset shift allowed them to be like, okay, well, I'm not going to train like a fucking pussy anymore. I'm just going to test my limits and see, hey, what can I actually do? And what's the most fucking beat down I can do to my body and actually recover from it? And that's what got them to train really hard. So then we optimized the training split. So I designed a training split with maximum stimulus and maximum recovery. So the training split was progressive. We incorporated progressive overload. So constantly increasing the weights, the reps, the intensity, all those measures constantly increasing over time, increasing the gym performance. And intensity. I taught them how to, train near, at, or past muscular failure, because this is really important. If we don't create that intense stimulus to grow, we're just going to stay the same. Okay. So this is like an example of a training split from the True Bodybuilder Method that I just kind of went over here. So basically Monday, so again, this could be person dependent, but this is typically, a good outline of a lot of the training splits I prescribe across the board. So Monday we have a chest and side delt day. Tuesday we have back and rear delt day. Wednesday is just hamstrings, calves, and abs. This is like not nearly as intense as these two right here. This is kind of just okay, like we train some smaller muscle groups. Hamstrings are easy to train. Then Thursday, take a rest. Friday, arms and side delts. Saturday, quads and calves again, and then Sunday is rest. So each major muscle group, back, chest, legs, was only hit once per week. And we just absolutely fucking obliterated it. We gave it like a full week to recover, and then we hammered it out in that one day. Now the smaller muscle groups like arms, delts, calves, we hit them multiple times per week because they can recover a lot faster. They can take a beating, so we can train them with more frequency. But the split basically allowed them to focus on one major muscle group per session and allowed for proper rest and recovery days throughout the week. So they were confident enough that they could go back into that next session and progress. So the workout structure in each of these days kind of goes like this. So at the beginning of the workout, we have a strength portion. So we start with multiple sets on a major compound movement. So some variation of a squat, a bench press, a deadlift, or a barbell row. And this set and rep scheme would start as heavy as possible for low reps, and then pyramid down into higher reps for lower weight. Then we had an accessory portion. So after hitting our major compound lift, we'd go into maybe 1 to 3 accessory compound movements for that muscle group. So the reps would typically be in the double digits here. Still training with the same intensity. The intensity level does not change at all. It's just the rep scheme kind of continues to go up as the workout progresses. Now, after we hit the accessory lifts, now we have our volume and pump portion. So we're basically tapped out in strength after we do the strength and accessory work. Now all that's left is, we can't, like, our strength is compromised. We can't go heavy anymore. So now we have to focus on the isolation movements to truly just finish off the muscle here. So we do multiple exercises for that muscle group with extremely high reps, 15 to 30, doing every intensifier in the book, drop sets, supersets, rest pauses, partial reps, all that stuff. And basically just getting a massive fucking pump and leaving the gym with nothing left. So every rep range is involved here. So here's a sample workout from a chest and side delt day from the True Bodybuilder Method. So we start with a barbell bench press. So this is our major compound movement. We do 5 sets. First set as heavy as possible, 4 to 6. Another set of 4 to 6, 8 to 10, 8 to 10, 12 to 15. So basically, these are all done to like near, at, or past muscular failure. So let's say you do 315 for a set of 6 right here. You should not be able to replicate that again. So if you go to the next set if you do 315 again, you should probably only get like 4 reps if you took that first set with the maximum intensity. Now it's like you have to go down and wait because you can't do a set of 8 with 315. So you have to go to like 275, maybe get a set of 10. Okay, then you do 275, maybe get a set of 8. Okay, now this is like a complete burnout set right here. You're going down to like 225 and it's getting 12 to 15 reps. So that's kind of the intensity structure we're really going after here. Now we go into some dumbbell incline bench press. That's our accessory lift. Then we get into the volume and pump portion here. We're doing machine press, superset with chest flies, super high reps with drop sets. Same thing for side delts. Isolation movements, lots of sets, lots of reps, drop sets, short rests, all that kind of stuff, supersets. So we start strong, and then we progress into higher reps and just end off with a really good pump. So every rep range, every stimulus is getting involved here. So this is the critical role of training intensity. So anybody could look at this plan and just replicate it, right? You look at it and be like, oh yeah, this seems cool. I'm going to go fucking try this out. But like you can go through the motions and just do this workout. But if you're just going through it and not breaking a sweat, it's not going to do anything. So what I did with Robby, Mike, Oliver, and John is actually taught them how to train with intensity, with perfect execution and form. So this is like a skill. It's both mental and physical. So intensity is something you have to learn over time. So basically, like, it's a physical skill because you have to learn how to put the maximum amount of intensity and force into that target muscle with proper mind muscle connection and everything while keeping perfect form in doing this. Like, it's a really, really hard skill you have to learn over time. It's not something that you can just walk in the gym and do. And this is a mental skill because you have to learn how to mentally push past these pain thresholds. Like, it is not fucking easy to do a triple drop set on the leg press. Like every fucking little bitch voice in the back of your head is telling you to stop. It's scary, it's uncomfortable, it hurts your fucking soul. But once you learn how to like tell that voice in the back of your head to be like, fuck you, I'm in control, like, and I'm not gonna stop until I physically cannot move this weight, that's when you're gonna get somewhere. So let's just summarize the training portion here. So first, we did a mindset shift. So we changed the mentality from what's the least I can get away with to what's the most I can recover from. Two, we implemented a progressive program. So we designed a progressive training program for proper stimulus and proper recovery. We designed the workout structure. So we incorporated the strength work, accessory work, and high volume and pump work. And then we taught the training intensity. We taught them how to mentally and physically train with the maximum amount of intensity. Okay. Take a sip of water here, and then we're talking about nutrition. So the truth about nutrition is, honestly, most guys have no idea what the fuck they're doing. Let's just be completely blunt and honest. Like they have no idea what to eat for their own body and like what their macros should be, how to properly design their nutrition, optimize their gym performance. They just don't really know. So a very common mistakes, when people try to bulk with nutrition is like, this is typically what I see like most guys doing wrong when they're trying to bulk. Okay. So they'll start their bulk at too high of a body fat percentage, right? So you're already just setting yourself up for failure doing that. You eat everything in sight with no structure. There's too frequent of cheat meals, and they adopt kind of an eat big to get big mentality. I blame fucking Rich Piana for this, by the way. Rest in peace. But yeah, it's a little more complicated than that. Now, the disappointing result they get when they bulk this way is they just keep accumulating body fat. And they feel like shit. They lose their lines, they lose their definition, they lose their pumps, and they aren't building muscle optimally at that point. And they just end up their bulk at way too high of a body fat percentage, and it makes their dieting phase 10 times harder because they just put on way too much fucking fat. Now, the opposite end of the spectrum, these are common nutrition mistakes people make when they're cutting. So what most guys do wrong is they immediately crash their calories into the ground. Too low, too quick. They eat zero carbohydrates. They follow an if it fits your macros approach where they'll eat whatever the fuck they want as long as it fits into their macronutrient requirements and their calorie deficit on paper. So they could be doing one of these things, they could be doing all three of these things. And the disappointing result is they plateau in their fat loss. They feel like fucking shit. They lose strength in the gym. They end their dieting phase just looking flat, stringy, and not really much leaner than they started. So the truth about mainstream nutrition advice is like, all this advice about nutrition, about macros, about calories, it's all fucking bullshit. There's so much more to nutrition than just calories in and calories out. It is so much more nuanced than that. And this is like, if this mainstream nutrition advice actually worked, keep this in mind. Like, this is really important. If this actually fucking worked, everybody at your gym would be jacked, lean, strong, and fucking they look insane. But that's just, it's hardly ever the case. You just see guys at the gym that are just like kind of in shape, and maybe they're carrying a high body fat, they're skinny fat or whatever. But you rarely see somebody that's in great shape at your gym, which is kind of like counterintuitive. And it's just like with the training, the guys who are jacked, who are lean, who are strong, they're doing something very different with their nutrition than the average person. So there's three key aspects of nutrition in the True Bodybuilder Method here. So the first one, which is the most important, is insulin sensitivity. So this is controlling basically how your body processes nutrients. Number two is going to be macronutrients. So we do an individualized protein, carbohydrate, and fat. So we establish the needs for the specific person, and then we just write that down on paper essentially. And then meal timing and selection. So it's basically what to eat and when to eat it. So basically, while other people spin their wheels with nutrition and literally get fucking nowhere, you can actually do what works and what guys with serious results are doing. So let's talk about insulin sensitivity first, because this is the most important part of controlling what your body looks like and what your body does with the food you put in. So the most important concept of controlling what your body looks like, it's not calories, it's not macros, it's not your food choices. It could be partially related to those, but it's not the end all be all. The end all be all is insulin. So insulin is your storage hormone. So it's secreted by your pancreas when you eat carbohydrates, or really any other nutrient. But the biggest driver of insulin release is going to be carbohydrates. So for the purpose of this video, to keep it simple, we'll just keep it at that. So basically, insulin will shuttle nutrients from the bloodstream into cells. And when you produce a lot of insulin, just again, to keep it simple, you store things. When you don't produce a lot of insulin, you free things up for energy. Very, very simple concept. So basically, this is how insulin sensitivity affects your physique. So when we become sensitive to insulin, that means your body has to produce less insulin to get the same effect, to drive the same amount of nutrients out of the bloodstream and into the cells. And this smaller amount of insulin will be prioritized to driving nutrients into the muscle, okay, where we want it to be. Now, when you're insulin resistant, basically that means your body has to produce more insulin to get an effect. So more insulin to move the food out of the blood and into the cells. And less of that insulin will be prioritized to driving nutrients into the muscle, and more will be prioritized into storing body fat. And if your insulin levels are high, because remember, when your insulin levels are high, you're in storage mode. So basically, if they're high, that means your fat cells are locked and cannot be freed up or burned for energy. Very, very important concept here. And this is why if it fits your macros is complete fucking bullshit. And it will never work for you if you want to get a really jacked muscular bodybuilder physique. So most guys will follow an if it fits your macros diet, and they'll eat like whatever foods they feel like eating in their diet because it technically, fits into their calories or their macros or whatever. And they're so concerned about that number on paper that they'll justify eating cookies, pastries, pizza, sugar, whatever it might be, because it technically fits into their calorie surplus or calorie deficit. But the problem with this is all this processed fucking shit they're putting in their body causes a constant release of insulin. Doesn't matter what it fits into on paper on MyFitnessPal or whatever. It causes a constant release of insulin in the body, and then they run into insulin insensitivity. So if they try to diet using this approach, this if it fits your macros approach, they cannot tap into their fat cells for energy and burn them because their insulin levels are chronically high. That's why guys will end up stringy and flat when they try to diet with an if it fits your macros approach. Now, if you try to build muscle with this, okay, now basically you're causing too much fat accumulation and desensitization of nutrients to your muscle. That's going to cause an excessive body fat, water retention, and less muscle build. So basically, that was my if it fits your macros spiel. I appreciate you guys sitting through that. If you're still watching this video, good for you. Fucking awesome. You're sitting through all my rants here. So basically, this is how we fix insulin sensitivity for Robby, Mike, Oliver, John, all those guys. So the first thing we did was we incorporated a whole food approach. So I gave them a variety of single ingredient foods, animal proteins, starch, carbohydrates, healthy fats into their diet, and their body knows exactly what to do with them. So basically, it causes their body to produce the right amount of insulin instead of excessive amounts of insulin. So we had strategic carb timing. So I gave them times during the day where they're eating meals without carbohydrates to give their body a chance to resensitize to insulin, and times of the day where they were eating carbohydrates, mostly around the workout window, so where their muscle is now sensitive enough to absorb that food. I also gave them low to zero carb rest days. So on their off days from the gym when they didn't really need the carbohydrates, I would have them eat a lower amount of carbohydrates to have a whole day to resensitize themselves to insulin. Now the result of this is their body now knows what to do with the food they eat, and it's shuttled to the right place, to the muscle, and not to the wrong place, which is the fat. I'm going to take another sip of water here, and then we'll talk about the macros. So again, with macros and calories, like most guys just don't really know how much they should be eating for their specific goal. And the truth is, it all really depends. It depends on your body type. So if you're an ectomorph, mesomorph, endomorph, it depends on your individual metabolic rate. It depends on how much muscle you have in your frame. It depends on your activity level throughout the day, and so many more of these nuanced variables that are very hard to figure out. And most guys will just plug in some number into like a MyFitnessPal or something on their phone and he'll give them some like arbitrary bullshit number for like a macro and calorie goal that does not even take these variables into account. So they'll try to follow this and they'll get disappointed when their results don't happen because it's not meant for their individual body. So basically, this is how we establish the right macros for each of these clients. So the first thing we did is, so I had them fill out a detailed assessment. So when they first got on my team, I had them fill out a questionnaire telling me exactly what their diet currently looked like, what their activity levels were throughout the day, what foods caused digestion issues for them, what their current weight was, what their physique looked like. And this detailed assessment allowed me to design a baseline diet plan for them. So once I made that baseline diet plan, what I would do is I would do weekly check-ins with them. And basically, they would send me physique photos, they send me body weight. This is something they do throughout the whole course of working with me, not just to design the baseline plan. This is just how I actually made the plan work for them individually. So they send me body weight, physique photos. I'd ask them essential questions, for example, like how's your hunger, digestion, pumps in the gym, how's your energy. And what I would do is I would take these assessments every week, and I would, based on how their body was responding to that baseline diet plan, I would make adjustments weekly to make it work for their body. So these adjustments would, include, like titrations up or down in carbohydrates and fats and proteins until we found a plan that was literally working for their body to build muscle and burn fat. So what's actually interesting is, because these plans are completely individualized and they're made from the adjustments I make on a weekly basis. Like these clients actually found they were eating diets completely contrary to what they thought was going to work for them. So we'll take Mike, for example, first. So Mike never thought he had to eat more food to increase his metabolic rate to lose body fat. He wasn't eating enough before, and it was causing his metabolic rate to stall. So he had to increase his food, and all of a sudden he started burning more fucking body fat, which is insane. So John never thought, because his calorie needs were higher than the average person due to his body type and extreme active job, he had to eat more food. Like he had his diet is like right now it's probably like 4,500 fucking calories. He's like losing weight. Like if I don't feed him enough, he's gonna fucking drop weight the next day. It's insane. So Oliver never thought he had to eat more than 1 gram per pound of body weight and protein to gain the size he need, despite all the people on the fucking internet telling him that's all you need to grow muscle, which is complete bullshit. And then Robby. So Robby has a goal to, put on a lot of size. So he always assumed he had to be in a calorie surplus even on his rest days. But no, for his body, he actually needed to be in a calorie deficit on his rest days. And that's what happened, even though his goal was to gain size. So let's talk about meal selection and food quality here. So it literally astounds me how most guys do not understand how eating a whole food diet can drastically benefit their bodybuilding. So the main principle for Robby, Oliver, Mike, John, all these guys for their food selection, after incorporating the True Bodybuilder Method, was basically this. So the main idea here is if you cannot pick it in nature, grow it in nature, or kill it in nature, then it likely should not be our plan. Now, there are some exceptions to this rule, but for the most part, we're not including fucking cookies and Rice Krispie treats in our fucking plans. It's either, you pick it or grow it, you kill it in nature. And if it's not there, then it should not be on our plan. So some of the food selections from the True Bodybuilder Method, you can see this. So it's all whole food protein sources from animal protein. It's all, whole carbohydrate sources, single ingredient foods here, rice, sweet potatoes, oats, all that stuff. And then fat sources for healthy fats, avocado, all natural almond butter, nuts, all that kind of stuff. So whole single ingredient foods. That was the main idea here. Now, as far as meal frequency and timing, so we essentially established an eating schedule for all of them based on their own life and routine and when they preferred going to the gym. So depending on their schedule, their metabolism, their goals, their individual needs, they're eating anywhere from 5 to 8 whole food meals per day, which is a lot of food. That's a lot of meals. So they're eating just about every 2 to 3 hours to allow for plenty of opportunities to stimulate muscle protein synthesis, allow for proper digestion. So by the time they finish that one meal, their body is ready to accept that next meal. And the fact of the matter is, there's really no bodybuilder or really no guy with a really good physique that's eating less than 3 times a day. That's why intermittent fasting doesn't work. eating one meal a day doesn't work. It's very rare, and basically it's for the reasons I mentioned above. All right, so we're gonna take an example meal plan from Robby's diet here. So this is so basically meal one, 2 whole eggs, 200 grams of egg whites, 60 grams of oats. Meal two, meat, 3 ounces of green vegetables. Meal three, this is a pre-workout meal. So before he goes to the gym, he has 200 grams of jasmine rice, some chicken breast, pineapple. You guys see it all right here. So all this stuff is weighed out to the exact gram or ounce. He has the amounts, the times of the day he's eating, the pre, intra, post-workout nutrition window accounted for, which I'll explain in a little bit. But it's all individualized, right? So this is Robby's plan, but John's plan looks completely fucking different. Oliver's plan looked completely fucking different. So there's never like a one size fits all approach for nutrition because everybody has different body types. So I cannot prescribe one plan to somebody and it's expected to work for 1,000 different people. It's just not going to work like that. So as a quick note, we also include 1 cheat meal per week in here. We had a lower calorie, lower carb version of this diet on his off day from the gym, kind of like I mentioned before. So let's talk about this. This is the importance of the peri-workout window. This is an essential part of the True Bodybuilder Method right here for nutrition. So the peri-workout window, what I mean by this is pre, intra, and post-workout. So that window specifically. So basically in our pre-workout meal, we want to have a meat source with minimal amount of fat paired with a good amount of carbohydrates 1 to 2 hours before training. So we want to have this meal with just the protein and carbohydrates because we're trying to, first of all, just, have a meal with minimal fat to, not slow down digestion. We want it in our system and ready to be used as energy in about 2 hours to train. So now we have our intra-workout nutrition, which is basically a fast digesting amino acid, basically to enhance muscle protein synthesis and repair during training. And when you're getting a pump, you're driving the nutrients directly from the bloodstream into the muscle cell when they're the most sensitive, when they're getting broken down. So it makes sense we want to have some sort of fast digesting amino acid in our bloodstream to enhance that muscle protein synthesis. And some of these intra-workout drinks also have dextrose in them too. That's a little bit more complicated. That's another video for another time. But just keep that in mind. It was mostly amino acids. Some of them had dextrose in them. So we have our immediate post-workout meal. So this is when the muscle is the most sensitive to food because you just beat it to fucking shit. So we want a fast digesting protein paired with a fast digesting carbohydrate when the muscles are most receptive to absorb those nutrients. And then we have our post-workout meal, which is, not the immediate post-workout meal, but the first whole food meal we have after the gym. And it's pretty similar to the pre-workout meal over here. It's just another meat source with minimal fat, carbohydrates, basically to replenish the glycogen source that we just tapped out. So the pre, intra, post-workout window is essential. So it will literally dictate how well we perform and progress in the gym. And we can take advantage of the sponge-like effect after breaking down our muscle, and we can use that to grow. Okay, this is the fun stuff here. I'm going to take a sip of water again, because I'm talking very fast right now. So listen up. All right, so if you go to a commercial gym, you can almost guarantee that half of the guys there are using gear. It's not even a question. So you would never guess because they don't look like bodybuilders, or most of them just aren't even in good shape. It's actually pretty sad to see. Like they're slamming gear and they're probably taking more gear than some competitive bodybuilders, yet they never break past their current plateau. And yes, like a lot of this could be due to poor nutrition, poor training, but most guys just don't understand how to even take the fucking gear in the first place. So here's some common steroid protocol mistakes I see with a lot of guys that come to me. So cycle length, first of all, they're doing their cycles for way too short of a length of time, less than 10 weeks. They're doing the wrong compounds. So they're taking the wrong selection or the improper selection of compounds for their goal. They're coming off completely. So they're coming off in between cycles, trying to recover their natural testosterone levels. So they'll literally go, on cycle for, 6 to 8 weeks. They'll blow up. And then they'll try to come off and do a PCT and try to recover their natural testosterone levels, which makes no fucking sense because you're just going to go right back on again in 2 months. So you're doing this roller coaster shit like we were talking about before. So improper dosing. So they're not taking the right amount of gear that's conducive for their goal. So they're either taking way too much or way too little. Toxic compounds. So they have a hyper focus on like the heavy use of orals and tren and stuff like that, which are very toxic and can't really be run for a long term. And side effect management. They just have no clue how to manage side effects. I'd say the most questions I get on Instagram are about side effect management, and it's pretty interesting to see. Like nobody understands how to actually properly manage these side effects when they come into play. What ancillaries to use, how to even prevent them from happening in the first place. It's a common problem. Okay, so these are the frustrating results from poor steroid use right here. So you get temporary results, like we were talking about. You blow up on cycle, you look really fucking good, and then it all goes away when you come off. You get health problems. You get real side effects, acne, gyno, sexual dysfunction, all that stuff. And you have no long-term progress. You have no linear progress cycle to cycle. The whole point we're doing the steroids is to build muscle mass that sticks with us, right? So if you're doing this roller coaster shit, you don't have linear progress versus if you just, went on cycle, you got your progress, then you maintained it for a little bit, and then did another cycle and built off of what you already gained, then you're making linear progress. But these are the issues that Mike, Oliver, John, Robby were all running into before incorporating the True Bodybuilder Method. And many of you guys are probably struggling with the same. So here's the truth about steroid information, right? And this is why I literally crafted this method, okay? So the information on how to use steroids is often lied about and gatekept because it is extremely difficult. Like it is extremely difficult to find truthful and correct information on how to properly design steroid cycles. Like this is literally why I'm making this video right now. Like bodybuilders and influencers will constantly lie to your fucking face about how much they take for their steroid protocols, and they will tell you they're like taking a quarter of what they actually take. Or they'll tell you they just do one cycle per year for their big competition, and they're really blasting their face off for fucking 10 months of the year. So it's insane. It's like a fucking smorgasbord of just lies. And it's fucking, I understand where a lot of you guys are coming from. There's a lot of guys, it's not your fault that you're doing this information incorrectly. You've just been fucking lied to. So this is like, again, due to egotistical purposes. They want to claim they have the best genetics on the planet because Instagram bodybuilding is a genetics fucking dick measuring contest. So they'll say they don't take as much and they're trying to take the health conscious approach, but or they're trying to sell you something. They could have corporate interests. They're trying to sell you a product and they're trying to downplay what they actually take. So there's a lot of reasons why these people will lie to you about what they're taking. Mostly it's for ego. I do believe it's mostly for ego. Now I'm going to take another sip of water here, so I'm going to tell you about what we actually do to sweep all that bullshit away and do things correctly. So these are the basic principles of our steroid protocols that we use in the True Bodybuilder Method. So in this method, we do realistic dosing. So realistic dosing that's actually conducive for your goals, okay? So if you want to look like an open pro bodybuilder, I'm not going to say you're going to take 250 milligrams of testosterone. No, we're going to tell you what's actually fucking required to get there, okay? So we do a proper combination of compounds, okay? We do longer, more drawn-out cycles for about 6 to 8 months. Instead of coming off completely, we do health phases in between blasts, in between cycles. So with just a low dose of testosterone, just enough to maintain the progress. And we focus on compounds that can be run for longer. So testosterone, primobolan, masteron, and nandrolone are mostly being used here. And then instead of having the cycle being very oral or trend focused, we just use we have strategic use of those heavy hitters. So we throw in the orals and trend for like short durations throughout the long duration cycle, just to break past strength plateaus, to peak the look, whatever. But we're not running them for long term. We're using them for a very specific purpose. And throughout this whole process, we're getting regular blood work and monitoring health. just to mitigate side effects, to make sure you're not fucking yourself up through this whole process. So just a sample cycle structure for something that would be prescribed in the True Bodybuilder Method. Again, don't try to replicate this because this might not work for your body. It could, but it might not work for you. This is just arbitrary generalities here. Take it as you will. So maybe for the first 2 to 3 months, we just start with injectables. So testosterone and primobolan. Primobolan is a great compound, very low side effect, does not convert into estrogen. Very, very benign on the health markers. So we can run Primo for, at a pretty high dose for a long time. So we might just start here. And then the second phase, so maybe the next 1 to 2 months, we might bump up these injectables. And again, this is based on how this person is responding, based on if we even need to bump it up, if we want to boost progress, if we want to gain more size. So we might bump up the injectables. So maybe we do 1,000 mgs of test, 750 milligrams of Primo. And now the third phase, so basically now we want to end the cycle with a bang. So we still do the 1,000 test, 750 Primo. Now we throw in the Trenbolone and the Winstrol to really just break past strength plateaus, give a nice cosmetic look for the end of the cycle, gain as much muscle as we can those last couple months. After that, we cruise, we come off, we go back down to 250 milligrams of testosterone. We don't PCT. PCTing, that's, again, another topic for another video. If we're doing this, we want to kind of have the understanding that we're going to be cruising in between cycles. So we cruise, we maintain progress for about 1 to 3 months, and then we go back on cycle after the health markers are good, after we've checked up on blood work again to make sure we're good to go for another cycle. Okay. So let's talk about the actual implementation of the steroid protocols here. So basically, we have to understand first this is individualized. So this will all vary based on individual needs, risk tolerance, what compounds the person responds the best to, and basically how things are progressing. So there's no cut and dry approach. It's just like a general outline. We have to understand that. So again, don't try to replicate that cycle if it's not going to work for your body. Just understand it's a general outline. So the benefits of this approach is it literally just solves all the issues that we mentioned above. And the result is basically we have real long-term muscle that sticks to you cycle to cycle. And basically with this approach, you're able to make linear progress with your physique without blowing up on a short cycle and losing it when you come off, just to end up with the same fucking point where you started at. So we have minimal side effects because we're managing health. We're throwing in health supplements. We're monitoring blood work. We're making sure that your estrogen stays in its sweet spot. We're making sure prolactin doesn't get too high. All that stuff can be managed through getting proper blood work, periodically every 2 to 3 months, and checking up on your health and make sure you're doing this shit safely and effectively. So realistic dosing. So the dosing here is realistic, where most guys, will likely not use enough gear and just get disappointed with their results, right? Because they've been fucking lied to with how much they have to take. So these cycles are long enough in duration and high enough in dosing to actually solidify the muscle you build so you don't fucking lose it all when you come off. And the result is, after this approach is compounded over several months or several years, it will cause serious changes to your physique. And we're talking like night and day fucking difference. And your physique will now truly reflect all the steroids that you're taking. So how do we put the True Bodybuilder Method into play here? So we do this like we kind of talked about before through the lean out phase, the cruise phase, and then the push up phase. So the whole point of the True Bodybuilder Method is essentially to completely change your physique to the point where people turn their heads to like fucking look at you in public. Like that's the idea here. So it's to finally give you the physique that you dreamed for when you made the decision to take steroids. So throughout the whole duration of the True Bodybuilder Method, I was overseeing Robby, Mike, Oliver, and John's progress and holding them accountable to the plan, like literally on a daily fucking basis. So their jobs were really simple. So all they had to do was just adhere 100% to the plan. They just asked me any questions anytime they needed to about their diet, their training, their steroid protocols, or anything. And they just weigh themselves. They take progress photos weekly so I can monitor and measure their progress and make adjustments to their program as needed. And I'm going to go through exactly how steroids, nutrition, training, all that stuff was altered and designed throughout each phase of the True Bodybuilder Method. So we have the lean out phase first. So just about 1 to 3 months, depending on what your body fat is at when you start working with me. So it's very rare that I get someone on the team who's lean enough to come right out the gate and do a bulk. It's very rare. So we usually have to get that person quite a bit leaner first. So this is essential because basically once we're down to about 8%, 8 to 10% body fat, like your body, it has like a sponge like effect with food. Your insulin sensitivity and nutrient partitioning are way better than like when you're leaner. You also build muscle way more optimally and get less side effects with your steroids. Your appetite will be higher, so it'll basically prime your body for the push-up phase when we're really adding in food. Everything works better when you're leaner. So like to truly grow and stay lean when you're growing or bulking, we have to do this phase first. So nutrition during the lean out phase. So it's going to be geared towards fat loss. So calories will gradually get lower to strip off body fat and achieve the 10% body fat. We're not trying to get like peeled, shredded here. That's for a later time. We're just trying to get to a manageable lean body composition that we can, grow off of. And basically steroids during the lean out phase. So we're not really going to be starting a heavy cycle during this phase. So I'll have the person just stay on what they're taking before they're working with me, or if it's completely retardedly designed, I may make some alterations to what they're currently taking. They're not going to be on nothing. So it's going to be like a moderate cycle just to get the body fat off. And then if they're natural and they're planning on doing their first cycle, we're going to stay natural during that lean out phase. So then we have our cruise phase. So obviously, if the person's natural, we don't even need to do a cruise phase. If you're enhanced, so we're doing about a 1 to 2 month cruise phase. So basically, at this point, your body fat should be about 8 to 10%. And the whole purpose of the cruise phase is, before things get really explosive, we got to take about 4 to 8 weeks to clean out from any previous cycles we did and just get health back in check. So we're going to go down to a cruise dose of testosterone for this phase, just about 250 milligrams, enough to maintain muscle, keep testosterone levels optimal, allow health markers to return to normal, so we're ready and primed to go into our push-up phase. And during this time, calories are going to be kept pretty much at maintenance. So all we're doing is maintaining the progress, maintaining the low body fat, keeping things healthy, and priming the body for the push. Also, the other thing about this is like when you lower your doses, your body now becomes like super sensitive to the steroids you take. So, for example, that's why we can't blast 24/7, 365, year round. We have to have times where we're just priming our body. And then when we incorporate the drugs again, we're really sensitive to them. Okay. Now, this is where things get explosive. Like, seriously fucking explosive. So, this is the push-up phase. So, this is going to be anywhere from about 6 to 8 months, depending on how long you're working with me. So, basically, during this phase, like our goal is to pack on serious size. So nutrition during this phase, now that our body is lean enough and primed to accept nutrients and grow, like we're in a much more optimal environment to grow muscle, we can gradually add in calories to this diet. And steroids during this phase, now we begin our real cycle. And now the combination of the added hormones, the added food, and all that stuff will cause extreme growth. And we're talking like insane pumps in the gym, like noticeable size on a weekly, if not daily basis, and like fast strength gain. And the final outcome is you like after successfully completing all three of these phases, the lean out phase, the cruise phase, the push up phase, you now have a lean, muscular, jacked physique that blows your old fucking physique out of the water. And this is the true impact of the bodybuilder method here. So the common frustration is that, taking like a shit ton of steroids and still not even remotely looking like a bodybuilder is one of the most frustrating things guys will experience. You're investing all this time, this money and energy and health, especially health, for little to no gain. It's the worst fucking feeling. So, as you know, it's like, what happened with Robby, Oliver, Mike, and John, they started gaining like serious size with the True Bodybuilder Method. So the results just kept coming and coming and coming. And they got more fucking motivated than ever. And like they started like literally falling in love with this process. Like guys at their gym were literally coming up asking them like what their fucking steroid cycles were or if they're going to compete in bodybuilding. Like it was insane. They would go to the gym, They would, wear stringers and finally be confident enough to show off their physique when they got, like, these like skin splitting fucking pumps with the fucking the anadrol and tren and shit. So it's a good feeling. We're not running anadrol and tren year round, but it's it'll add some nice pumps to your physique. Anyways, spouses and peers, coworkers, business partners all inherently gave them more respect just from the way they looked. And like the lessons they learned from being disciplined and regimented carried over into all aspects of life, even outside of the gym. And they never wanted to stop improving. That was the most important thing. And this system, it's what a lot of men need to just finally look like a bodybuilder. Like, they've been going after this all their fucking life, and they've gone through all this frustration, and they just need a proven fucking system that actually works. So I'll show you these transformations again. So we'll talk about Mike. So Mike went from overly fat, so 220 pounds with no definition, like literally just zero definition in fat, to lean and hard at 190 pounds at the age of 60. Like, he has ab veins going on, bicep veins, looks like a completely fucking different person. So John went from stocky with high body fat, with little muscle mass, to now like filled out and vascular. Like, this doesn't even look like the same fucking person. Like, this is absolutely fucking insane. And Robby went from skinny, 160 pounds, to jacked at 200 pounds. Dude just doubled his fucking arm size. Fucking traps are popping. It's insane, some of these transformations that were made. And a lot of these were done in less than 8 months, keep in mind. We haven't even, like, some of these people haven't even finished. So, like, we're honestly just getting fucking started here. So, basically, you have lifelong results when you do this, right? Obviously, when the gains you get on steroids, they're temporary, but you have a system that you can actually apply for the rest of your life and essentially use it whenever you need to. So when you execute this properly, the results are literally like no other system. And you literally invest in this once, and you have permanent compounding results in a system that you can literally apply for the rest of your fucking life. And this is literally how powerful the True Bodybuilder Method is, and the feedback loop that's associated with it, right? The guys that were doing this program, they kept seeing the results, and it motivated them. It created a positive feedback loop to want to do more and get more out of it. And it's like, it's when it's executed properly, intentionally, and with every nuance behind every decision, it's, once it's actually fundamentally understood, this is going to change your life. Now that you understand exactly how this process works, I have an offer for you guys. So let's just go over again if this method is right for you. So if you're a guy that is using steroids and just lacks the bodybuilder physique, you're looking to do your first cycle properly, you're sick and tired of just looking like the average run-of-the-mill guy, and you're finally ready to achieve a high-level physique that stands out, and you're ready to make the most progress in your bodybuilding that you ever have in your fucking life, and you want to go from having a mediocre physique to looking like a bodybuilder in 8 months or less and have a proven system that you can literally implement for the rest of your life, this system, this program is literally for you. And my guarantee to you is I'll help coach you through the True Bodybuilder Method so we can replicate this exact process for you and see the same results that Mike, Oliver, John, Robby, they all experienced in literally less than half the time it would take you to do it on your own. And there's no headache of trial and error, and after you realize you've been doing it wrong for months on end, and it's just all this like conflicting stuff in your head, and it's like there's so much guesswork to it. So, like, I'm so confident I can deliver these results for you that if you don't gain a serious amount of muscle in 8 months, you don't pay. You literally do not pay. So I've never had to do that with somebody, but that's how confident I am to give you these fucking results. All right, so if you guys found this video valuable and you're just sick and tired of just taking all this gear, taking all these steroids, and still not really looking like a bodybuilder and still not really looking like somebody with an impressive physique, and you want to take that physique and morph it into looking like a bodybuilder in 8 months using the True Bodybuilder Method, you can go in the description down below, you can book a call, and we can see if you're a good fit for the team. I just thought it'd be super valuable to just show you guys my step-by-step process and how I coach guys from looking average into packing on a lot of muscle mass. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I look forward to speaking to you soon.